In Foxborough, this week's praise came with a real message attached, and that's where this gets interesting. One defensive cornerstone just heard exactly what the staff believes he needs to do to become dominant. A new arrival is already changing the energy of the entire unit, and he may be earning something even bigger than just a role in the scheme. Away from the field, one major obstacle standing in the way of a possible reunion just disappeared. And quietly, a player who lost all of last season is pushing his way into the roster battle. I'm Sean Callahan, and today we're separating real inside signals from empty offseason hype. Subscribe to Patriots Club fans, and let's decode all of it together. When Mike Vrabel says he wants to see Christian Barmore finish, he is not trying to minimize what the defensive tackle accomplished. He is showing you just how high the expectations are inside that building. Barmore generated 58 quarterback pressures in 2025, the best mark of his career. He appeared in all 21 Patriots games and helped power a defense that carried New England all the way to the Super Bowl. Still, he ended the season with only 3 sacks. To this coaching staff, there is a difference between wrecking the structure of a play and ending that play with the quarterback on the ground. That gap between disruption and production is exactly where they believe Barmore's next jump can happen. Pay attention to Vrabel's wording. He called Barmore highly disruptive, praised how much he cares, and said he enjoys coaching him. Then came the challenge. This was not empty public criticism meant to put pressure on a player without any context. Vrabel explained that Barmore affected games by getting into the backfield, even when those moments never showed up in the box score. He also made it clear that Barmore wants to turn more of those chances into sacks. The message inside the building feels simple. Nobody is questioning his ability. They are pushing him toward another level. Defensive coordinator Zach Kuhr backed up that idea. According to Kuhr, Barmore came into this spring more involved in meetings, more focused and determined to see how far his talent can really take him. Defensive line coach Clint McMillan went even further. He said the Patriots would not have finished where they did without number 90 playing at a high level. When 3 different coaches keep repeating the same words about talent, growth, and engagement, those are not just courtesy compliments. This coaching staff is building accountability around a player it sees as a central piece of the defense. There is also a human side to this story that cannot be ignored. Barmore signed a 4-year, $84 million extension in 2024. Only months later, he was diagnosed with blood clots, a medical issue that wiped out nearly his entire season. The Patriots are still managing his workload. Getting through the full 2025 campaign while creating that much pressure was already a major victory. Now, for the first time in a while, he gets to enter year 2 in the same system, surrounded by stability and coaches he says he trusts. Here in New England, trust does not mean comfort. It means the staff can look one of its best defenders in the eye and say, "You made a difference, but you still left plays on the field." If Barmore converts a larger share of those 58 pressures, the defensive line does not just get better numbers. It gets an interior finisher who can stop quarterbacks from escaping when the pocket collapses. The biggest inside story is not just Vrabel challenging Barmore. It is that everyone in Foxborough seems convinced we still have not seen the final version of Christian Barmore. The most revealing signal around Dre'Mont Jones did not come from one isolated minicamp rep. It came from the way his coaches started talking about him. Jones arrived under scrutiny because the Patriots allowed K'Lavon Chaisson to leave after the best statistical season of his career, then bet on a defender many fans did not view as a clear upgrade. Inside the building, that comparison is already starting to lose some of its weight. Linebackers coach Mike Smith described Jones as tough, physical, intelligent, and capable of playing multiple spots. He can rush from a 2-point stance or put his hand in the dirt. That flexibility matters in a defense that wants to change its fronts and disguise where the pressure is coming from. But Smith revealed an even more important detail. Jones's motor is becoming contagious. That is locker room language. A coach does not talk about contagious energy because a player looked good during a few non-contact practices. He is saying that veterans' behavior is raising the daily standard for everybody around him. By working alongside Harold Landry III, learning from him and pushing teammates to match their effort, Jones has started building something nobody projected when he signed: a leadership presence. There is still a long way to go before anyone starts handing him a captain's patch. That recognition will depend on training camp, game performance, and how his teammates respond to him. But it is no longer ridiculous to track that possibility. In Foxborough, leadership usually shows up through repetition, preparation, and the willingness to handle different responsibilities long before it ever shows up in a speech. Smith summed it up with one powerful line: Jones looks and plays like a Patriot. That does not end the Chaisson debate, and it does not replace production on Sundays. New England needs real pressure when the pads come on, the protection is live, and an opposing quarterback is trying to escape. But Jones has already changed his standing inside the organization. He no longer looks like a simple gamble brought in to fill snaps. He is beginning to be treated like an example for the rest of the group. The original question was whether the Patriots had replaced Chason with an inferior option. Now there is another way to look at it. What if Jones brings enough versatility, physicality, and influence to make everyone around him better? The signing will be judged during the season, as it should be. For now, the inside word points to a player who did not arrive asking anyone to trust him. He started working like someone who already understands that expectations change the moment you put on that jersey. A door that looked shut just opened back up. That does not mean the Patriots will walk through it, but one legitimate concern has been removed from the equation. The NFL concluded its investigation into Stefon Diggs without finding sufficient evidence to discipline him under the personal conduct policy. There will be no suspension or fine connected to the case he faced this offseason. The calculation just became cleaner for every interested team. New England's situation, though, is much more complicated because the roster that released Diggs is not the same one anymore. The arrival of A.J. Brown gave Drake Maye the dominant target Patriots fans had been demanding. The offense is also evaluating who deserves to survive the cuts in a receiver room that suddenly feels crowded. The behind-the-scenes question is no longer, do the Patriots desperately need Diggs? It is now, is there a smart role for him in this new version of the offense? That difference matters. Diggs was supposed to remain under contract for 2 more seasons before his release, and he is still on the open market. His name has been tied to a possible return all offseason, even though Mike Vrabel has avoided publicly feeding that possibility. The risk of bringing Diggs back and then losing him for part of the schedule is gone. The disciplinary obstacle has disappeared. The football decision remains, and it is not automatic. A.J. Brown needs volume. The younger receivers need opportunities to prove themselves. The front office has to consider salary, snaps, hierarchy, and the effect on the locker room. Bringing Diggs back because he is available would be chasing a name instead of following a plan. But ignoring the opportunity without measuring the fit would also feel passive, especially in an AFC where offensive depth can separate a promising season from a deep playoff run. Consider the upside. Brown commands extra coverage. Diggs brings experience and the ability to attack different areas of the field. Drake gains another option to punish defenses that load their coverage toward his new #1 receiver. That could raise the ceiling of this offense. But if the projected role is too small, the investment does not fit the rotation, or the coaches would rather develop the receivers already in the building, moving on may be the more coherent choice. The hidden part of this update is that the NFL's decision did not automatically move Diggs closer to Foxborough. It gave the entire market freedom to act and removed a variable that might have scared teams away. The Chiefs and Commanders have also been mentioned as possible destinations. Waiting does not guarantee Diggs will stay available. Patriots Nation, give me an answer based on today's roster, not nostalgia. With I.J. Brown already in the offense, would you bring Stefon Diggs back to form a veteran duo for Drake Maye? Or would you use those snaps to develop the younger receivers? The path is open now. What we still do not know is whether Eliot Wolf and Vrabel see an opportunity at the end of it, or a story that has already run its course. While the familiar names dominate the conversation, a much quieter roster battle is beginning to take shape further down the depth chart. Lan Larison is back, and he did not return just to make up for the time he lost after breaking his foot in the 2025 preseason opener. He showed up this spring, earning opportunities with the starting unit and displaying the speed and quickness that had already caught people's attention before the injury. There is a trap here. OTAs and minicamp take place without full pads, so every running back evaluation needs context. Without live contact, we still cannot judge pass protection under pressure, balance through tackles, or the ability to find space in heavy traffic. The coaching staff can evaluate knowledge of the playbook, route running, explosiveness, decision-making, and conditioning. In those areas, Larison has done enough to move from the edge of the competition into the middle of it. Vrabel offered an important clue when he said Larison is no longer a rookie mentally. The year on injured reserve kept him out of games, but it did not remove him from the preparation process. He studied the offense, strengthened his body, and now feels that everything is registering faster. For a player chasing the third running back spot, processing without hesitation can matter just as much as one flashy run in June. The competition is crowded. Terrell Jennings, Jam Miller, and Miles Montgomery are also fighting for space behind Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson. Larison, however, offers a combination that could matter when the Patriots build their 53-man roster. He can catch passes, contribute as a returner, and provide value on special teams. A player rarely earns the RB3 job by carrying the football alone. He needs to justify his spot in several situations on Sunday. The inside detail here is that Larison appeared to enter the spring on the outside of this race. The other contenders had more public momentum, while he was still remembered mainly for the injury. A few weeks later, that perception has changed. Nobody promised him a roster spot. He simply forced his way back into the center of the evaluation. The real test comes next. Training camp practices in pads, live contact, and preseason games will reveal whether that speed remains when the running lanes shrink. They will also show who protects the quarterback best and who consistently delivers on special teams. Larison has more than a month to prepare his body for that test. There is something very Patriots about this story. A player loses nearly his entire rookie season, keeps studying in silence, and returns without asking for special treatment. He gets back in line and competes again. Larison has not won the job, but he forced the coaching staff to take him seriously. And for somebody who entered the offseason almost invisible, that is already a huge shift. Once the pads come on, we will find out whether this quiet rise was only a strong spring or the beginning of the surprise that claims the final spot in New England's backfield. The picture forming in Foxborough is of a team raising the level of competition everywhere. Barmore is being pushed because his ceiling is enormous. Dre'Mont Jones is turning doubt into leadership. Diggs is back on the market without the weight of a possible suspension. Larison is turning a lost season into a legitimate roster opportunity. None of that guarantees results, but it reveals a coaching staff evaluating behavior, finishing ability, and fit before handing out trust. To me, the strongest signal is that renewed standard of accountability. Which of these four stories could have the biggest impact on the Patriots season? Drop your take in the comments, hit the like button, and subscribe to Patriots Club fans. I'm Sean Callahan, and around here, winning is still the expectation.